welcome back to Guild Wars 2. Today we are doing Living World Season 4, Episode 4, A Star to Guide Us. So this one starts off with Taimi asking us for help. We meet Bram in the domain of Bobby, and he takes us to Jahai Bluffs, where they are having a summit to kind of establish where and how to move forward with Joko now gone. And Aureen has turned up, and it's made everybody rather jumpy, and we need to come and remove Aureen from the situation. So we go, and we convince Aureen that she needs to leave, and we start the process of getting the politicians back on track. Like, listen, Aureen's not, just do your thing, okay? So we get them to arrive at somewhat of a decision, and as we're talking and figuring things out, the Shatterer shows up. Which, he is Kralkatoric's general. He's one of the world bosses. He's not like a big major world boss like Decadal is, but he's a significant one. A very significant one. So we are doing our best to get people to safety and saving whoever we can, and dealing with the Shatterer and his nonsense. And as this whole thing is, it's just also, you'll notice it's not my human thief anymore. This is my Norn renegade. Well, Revenant renegade. She's very strong. She's very strong. You'll also notice I'm playing with the key bindings. So as I was fighting, it just stopped working. Like, all my key bindings, like my number key bindings, just stopped working. So anything that's bound to a number stopped working, which for Guild Wars, oh, you can't see it, I use a number mouse. That was a problem. I have everything bound to numbers. So that's a problem. So what we're going through, and we're trying to get to Taimi and Aureen, and Aureen runs, like, she bounces, and the Shatterer chases after her. And he causes a rift, and then Anomalies just started popping up everywhere in Jahai Bluffs. So we have to go and investigate them all. I did get my key bindings fixed. I just had to rebind them, and then it was fine. And then it just magically worked again. I don't know. So the Anomalies are weird. We have something that looks straight out of the Maguma jungle. We've got the ruins of Ur before they were ruins, like the Battle of Ur. And there's just, it's, what? And then going through, we also discover a branded village, and there are people within the village that were not branded because they were deep underground. I think they were like taking shelter in the side of a mountain in like their storage room or something. This kind of, this is the first time somebody's been deep enough underground or shielded by enough rock not to be branded. The first time we've ever been like, oh hey, Kralkator can't brand things if you're in under a mountain. Like, that seems like it would have been discovered already. Like, that one caught me off guard that was a new discovery. Like, I really would have thought like people already knew that. Why is this new info? We're not gonna focus on plot holes. We're not gonna focus on plot holes. So that kind of caught me off guard that Kralkator couldn't brand things deep underground. Like, it makes sense that there's a limit to how far his branding goes, but like, you're the first ones that have noticed. So this gives us an idea like, oh hey, there's an old Sunspear Sanctuary. So let's see if we can take over that. Like, let's see if we can get that up and running. Like, let's see what condition that's in. So we head over to the Sunspear Sanctuary, and there's a lot of spiders. And Bram is the one that accompanied us to the Sunspear Sanctuary. And he does not like spiders. So we have to try to light the flames. And it added... It's hysterical. I mean, I get it. Like, I appreciate that they made it possible for Bram to be scared of something, like the legit, like, almost phobia of spiders. Like, he's like, I'm losing it, man. I cannot do this. So once in a while, the F4 would pop up, like, inspire Bram, essentially, like, clear his head for him. So I did appreciate that. So we get that cleared up and set up for everybody, and Timey brings Irene in, and she's got a little nest, and Brandon shows up because they're following Irene at this point. And as we take out as the monster is showing up, Air and Snaff show up from the mists. They're like, they help us take out the monster, and then they're like, oh hey, we have a message from Glint. From the mists. And like, so what if you're dead, you're not really dead? Like, you can just come back as a ghost? I mean, it was a very important message. Like, it's time, Aureen. It's time to go take care of Kralkatorrik. Like, you and your scion have to work together. Like, and Aureen flashes through all of these visions. And it's just vision after vision after vision after vision of her not doing it, of her dying. And it's just, ugh. So Blish is like, I think I have an idea. Let's put a tracker on Kralkatorrik so we know where, when, we're, like, we can track him. We're like, okay, cool. But we need Balthazar's sword. Of course we need Balthazar's sword. Why wouldn't we need Balthazar's sword for this? So then we're going to find Balthazar's sword. We track that sucker down. Because the Priory's like, they're doing math. They're like, listen, if his sword is still on this plane of existence, it should have landed here. Like, right? Like, A, how do you know that? And B, alright, cool. So, although getting to the spot where we killed Balthazar was surprisingly difficult. I don't like navigating the Brandstorm in Vabi. Like, it is a pain in the butt. It's a pain in the butt. The pain in the butt the first time. Pain in the butt every other time you have to do it. But they show us, like, okay, based on trajectory, Jahai Bluffs, back to where you went, it's there. Okay, cool. We get to there, and they're like, yeah, there's a sniper posted up over there. Like, what? You would... What? Oh, yeah. She's just, you know, having a grand old time. So, this character doesn't really have a movement ability. She doesn't need one. Until you got to this particular mission. This is the only mission I've struggled with her. Because, like, there was just poison and stuff, and, like, if you were out in the open at all, she could annihilate you. And I'm like, I don't think that's accurate for Deadeye. Like, I know they have some superior range or whatever, but, like, nah. Whatever. It is what it is. We survived. Like, even if you were on your mount, she would freaking wreck you. It was such a pain. And it wasn't like... Whatever. So I had to go through and look at the different... spirit choices I had, and I ended up using the assassin spirit because he could speed me up. So we used that one because none of the other spirits really worked. It's still a struggle though. This was a struggle. It's like, huh, it'd be real nice if I could turn invisible right now. Real nice if I could shadow step right now. But I everything else about this story was way easier. So, like, overall, this took way less time. Like, bosses and stuff took way less time. So we do eventually get past Zephyra. And we get the sword. And we're like, okay, now we have to reignite it. Let's just call up our buddy Ritlock. With his flame sword, Sahathan. Reignite Balthazar's sword that way. Okay, cool. That obviously is a viable option. So what do? We reignite with Sahathan. Like, is that how power transfer really works? Like, it's a Balthazar sword. But whatever. But Balthazar did relight Sahathan for Ritlock. Like, that's the only reason why I think we got away with Sahathan reigniting Balthazar sword. It's the only reason why it's believable. It's in my head. But it's like, Ritlock coming back from the mists sort of made sense. Like, he was a revenant, like spirits, like, alright, sure, cool. But now we've got ghosts coming from the mists, and they're fighting in the mists, and it's a disaster there. It's just a disaster. Like, so we're trying to set up this tracker. That's fine. We're obviously beating up minions and stuff as it goes. But, like, I'm really starting to think, like, the mists, and maybe it's because, like, the human gods have moved on from the mists and everything. Like, maybe that's why it's allowed to be so wonky. And I mean, there's an elder dragon toying around in there, so whatever. But, like, it seems like the reality, like that line between alive and dead has really kind of shifted a bit. So we go through. Blish sacrifices himself. It took me a minute to realize how the best way to escape was and on which mount. Because it said raptor, but I'm like, I've got a bunny, I've got a griffin. I just spent an arm and a leg getting my griffin. Like, I want to use my griffin, but no. And it didn't want you to go in quite a straight line. And this was so obnoxious to try, and like, I don't have good depth perception as it is. And then you add in the fact that there is nothing to give you depth perception. Just floating rocks and a cloud. And so that was a whole mess. So it's a whole thing. So we have the tracker on Kralkatorrik. Irina's missing because after all of her vision, she was just like, and she was like, I am most definitely not dealing with the Kralkatorrik problem. And then we go back in time, he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm way sicker than I let any of you believe. And then Keith just shows up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.